In order to help you understand what's going on in Chapter 13, this 20th century music, what we're going to do is divide the lessons into 4 sections. Everything is going to be about Chapter 13, but each lesson will cover a couple of the important styles and the composers best known for working in that style. After lessons 2 and lessons 4, there will be a little quiz. That little quiz will encompass, if it's after lesson 2, lesson 1 and 2. If it's after lesson 4, it would be lessons 3 and 4. Hopefully that's not too confusing. Impressionism really is more of a painting style, common in Monet and Renoir, 2 French painters, and it's about trying to create contrast and get a person to see more than just the obvious, to see angles and almost get thoughts from the painting. Well, that's kind of what impressionistic music is all about. That and it being a sort of a reaction against German music like Brahms and Wagner that was very powerful. Impressionism is more light, doesn't usually have that much powerful stuff going on. Generally it is quite musical and pretty, unlike most of the music you're going to hear in the 20th century. So it's sort of the transition from the end of the Romantic period to this 20th century stuff. Now, what is unique about it is that the tempos generally are not real set. They vary quite a bit. It's quite a bit of a rubato feeling, and that's the same thing. And there's not so much of a defined key center, but at the same time there's not an effort to try to make things sound bad, which you will hear soon. The primary instrumentation in musical impressionism were softer instruments like the harp, strings, piano, and the flute. Brass was not that big. French horns were used, and well, all of brass was used, but it wasn't the principal instrument. The main guy who we think of when we talk about musical impressionism is Claude Debussy. Debussy did not consider himself an impressionistic painter. That was a term that was given to his music, whether he wanted it or not. But when we talk about impressionism, he exemplifies all that it is. So everything we had just talked about with impressionistic music, well, you can apply it to Debussy's music. I'm going to listen to a little bit of his music, and I think that'll give you a good idea of what impressionism really is. It's not totally traditional music, but it doesn't necessarily look to create a whole new method of composition. Oh, and by the way, just for a little laugh, if you look at the picture of Debussy in the book, you'll notice he looks very similar to the character who was the bad guy in James Bond's Moonraker. And I was watching a documentary on James Bond, and they actually used Debussy's music several times in there and tried to make the bad guy resemble him on purpose. So just for humor's sake.